I said, okay. I said, should be okay. And he didn't answer, and he just went. And then it was when he come back, like when they came back, is when I got told the truth. That day, I didn't only lose my sister, I lost my mum. I think I was numb. I remember crying and I was just numb. And I just thought, they've got to be wrong. They've got to be wrong. I remember getting my bike, even though I couldn't ride it because I had a broken arm. But I just remember getting my bike out of the shed and wanting to go to the hospital because I didn't believe them. I didn't believe them. So in effect, she took the place of my mum. And like I say, she took me to swimming lessons. She'd done everything that a mum would do. And my dad was my dad. And but I didn't have a great relationship with my mum. So my sister stepped in. So when that happened, it was, you know, not did I only lose a sister, I felt that I lost my mum. So it was a double loss. Just very caring, very considerate, very friendly person, always helping other people. Just a nice-natured person. Oh, she was stunning, absolutely stunning. And I'm not just saying that because she's my sister, she absolutely was. She, you know, her clothes were, you know, she was very modern. She was very, you know, she was just, you know, a stunning person. But a lovely natured person with it. I was really excited because I was bridesmaid. Well, actually, when you look back on the photos, my bridesmaid's dress was brown and orange.
Was there a little bit of a do afterwards?
Yeah, we was in the Beehive pub in Brentford upstairs. They used to have like a function hall then. It was really exciting. It was really, you know, it's a party, and in them days when you're young and you're having a party with adults, it's really exciting, like with all my nephews and nieces, and it was a big family occasion. Actually, she met him at Les Wild's dancing school in Ealing. But he was very socially awkward. You know, like if there was a family function, he wouldn't be in the room, he'd leave and go and sit upstairs. She always had to be with him. The problems arose when, if she had a friend outside of that circle, that's when the problems started to arise. That's when the control started to come in, and he would cause deliberate arguments so she wouldn't go out and threaten to leave and use all the emotional blackmail. As she's come out of the bathroom, I've collided with her in the hallway, and I said, I've just took one look, and I just said, I'm telling Mum, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know about domestic violence. I just knew something was wrong. Yeah, it was bruises. They were black. And I just looked, I went, I'm telling Mum. And I just run, because I knew...
You didn't think at that point that she was...
No, I didn't know she was ill, but I knew something was wrong. Mum, look at Maureen, she, you know, look. And so, of course, she's tried to grab me as I've gone to run, but I was gone. And that's when it all came out. She was defensive at the time, and she said, oh, no, you know, he's promised not to do it again. He repeatedly said to her, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, you know. And she believed him. She genuinely wanted her marriage to work. And she believed him. She gave him the benefit of the doubt. But as she said, as it went on, it got worse and worse and worse. So, and at that point there, you know, it was just fate that I'd collided with her that put a stop to it then, because I don't know how long that would have gone on for. I thought she was unwell. I never thought another person could do this to somebody. You know, and I thought, why is he doing this?
Did she say how long the violence had been going on?
It had been going on since the marriage, soon after the marriage. He used to come and just sit outside the house most evenings, all weekend. But it was watching my sister come and go. And he used to follow her to work, you know, write her letters. I think it's about 3 occasions he actually knocked on the door, but my family wouldn't let him talk to her. He'd gone up on the pavement to try and run her down. She's got herself into the phone box and she's rung home. And she said to my dad, like, I've answered the phone. And I just heard screaming, you know, get dad. And I was like, you know, it was like a shock. Because I always used to run for the phone, as you know, kids like answering phones. But she goes, just get dad. So anyway, I've called my dad and he's come to the phone. And what she said to him was that he'd tried to run her down. I remember my mum calling the police, and I can hear this conversation like it was yesterday. And my mum said, so no, she explained what had happened, and so the police pretty much said it's domestic violence incident, we can't get involved between husband and wife. And my mum said, so what you're saying is we have to wait until something happens to her before you act. And they must have said yes. Tuesday she was dead. Too late. What the heck? There was despair. It's like, what do you do? How can you control this man? She was terrified because not only was he following her to work, you know, that he claimed he was just driving down the street. Not only, even though he lived in Ealing, you know, all of these different things. Nobody was acting. Nobody was taking it seriously. And, you know, and it was frustration. It was absolute frustration. What do you do? Oh, I remember at one point my family were talking about moving. You know, just to get away from it. She was on the bus, and as she was going past West Middlesex Hospital, there was all police and, you know, lots of commotion going on at the exit gate, and she thought, you know, well, what, you know, what's... Anyway, she didn't really think anything of it. Anyway, she got into the hairdressers, and it was when she was at the hairdressers, I think it was the 9 o'clock news on the radio, that she heard that the girl hadn't been named, had been shot dead in hospital. And she knew it was her. She knew it was her. Sorry. And just a matter of minutes later, my dad walked through the hairdresser's door with the police. And she knew. She knew.
How did you learn about it?
Well, as I say, I was at home still, and the police knocked on the door, and I thought they'd come to get me to take me to school because I hadn't been to school. So I was really scared of the police, you know, like, oh God, I'm in trouble. And anyway, so they spoke to my dad privately, and my dad said, you need to go into the next door neighbour, into Mrs. Foster. So he said, I'll be back in a minute. I said, what's wrong? And then he said, oh, Maureen, she's been injured. I said, okay. I said, she'll be okay. And he didn't answer, and he just went. And then it was when he come back, like when they came back, is when I got told the truth. So as I say, that day I didn't only lose my sister, I lost my mum.
How did it affect you that particular day?
I think it was like numb. It was like, you know, things like that don't happen. Well, didn't happen. You know, people didn't have guns. They didn't have guns, but what we learned was that he'd had the gun prior to the weekend. So when he come to the house, when he asked to come to the house to collect his stuff, he was planning to kill us all. But my sister stopped him. So she stopped him.
It must have affected the whole of the street.
It did. The press were outside for about 3 days. We had to have the curtains closed. It was just like, it was very surreal.
What about the funeral?
The funeral, she was cremated at Hamworth Crematorium, and she was very well liked. There was lots of people there. But yeah, it was beautiful flowers, and you know, she was very well liked.
Did they keep a part of this stuff away from you? You know, what had really happened?
Yeah, I think they tried to protect me as much as they could.
Yeah.
She arrived at work and he chased her through the corridors, and he fired at her, and she had like this sort of like flary coat, and the bullet went through the coat and it's lodged into the wall, and that bullet hole was still in that wall to the day they knocked that hospital down. And anyway, so from that point she's run through into a department, into the little cloak area, which was no more than 7 foot by 5 foot. And one of her colleagues was in there, and she said he's got a gun, but I think he's firing blanks. But with that, he's come through the door and he's just aimed and shot and just blew her head off. But he's waited a few minutes. Now this was on sort of like 8 o'clock, and he waited a few minutes because he was waiting for her friend, because he used to blame her friend for taking her away, but it had nothing to do with her friend. It was his behaviour, but it was everybody else's fault but his. But and unfortunately, she was late for work that day, as otherwise she probably wouldn't be here to live to tell the tale either. But then he turned the gun on himself. So quite what was going through his mind, we don't know.
Where did he do that?
Within minutes of shooting her.
At the hospital?
At the hospital. So, like in the same room where she was. So he turned the gun on himself. There was a note in his pocket that was read out within the coroner's report, and it said, "Sorry, but I had to do it." And I made domestic violence a standalone priority within the council. What I'm aiming for is to petition the Mayor of London to make it MOPAC 8 and have domestic violence as a standalone priority.
Across the whole of London?
Across the whole of London. And the reason for that is because of being able to ascertain the crime statistics around domestic violence, because it's very fragmented. And I don't believe we are in London are getting a true, accurate record of how many incidences there are of domestic violence.
How often do you think of Maureen now?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Do people get over things like this?
No, never. No, never. No. No.